Hey guys, what's up? Carlson SK here, and welcome to my guide on the Corrupted Gauntlet. This is in no way the most efficient or best method to do the gauntlet, but it is the way I've effectively done over 400 completions. It is extremely beginner friendly, and with a little practice you can easily be prepped and ready to take on Hunleff every single time. Anyways, no one likes a long intro, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. For the recommended stats, I suggest getting base 80 combats and 70 plus prayer. Additionally, if you have rigor or augury, you already know this, but make sure you get 74 or 77 prayer respectively. Now with this being said, you can still definitely do the Corrupt Gauntlet at lower levels, and for those of you who wish to do so, stay tuned as I'll do my best to explain the 5-to-1 method for Hunleff later. Moving on, to really make the Gauntlet easier to navigate and overall just increase quality of life in relation to it, I suggest getting these Runelight plugins. The Gauntlet. This plugin allows you to track your resources and highlight the types of resources in each room. NPC indicators, which highlights NPCs and the tiles they are on. This is especially good for Hunleff and just spotting demi-bosses in general. Tile indicators, specifically destination tiles so you know exactly where your character is headed. Entity hider, which hides the death animations of NPCs so you can click on your drops faster. And lastly, object markers, which highlights the edges of certain objects, or in our case, stations. And here is an example of each plugin and their usage. Now let's go over some tips. If you are new to the Corrupted Gauntlet, I suggest you only use the trident and the bow. While the halberd is a great weapon, the range you get from the trident and bow is infinitely better for those that are learning the gauntlet. Additionally, with the trident, make sure you are using accurate. It gives a very slight DPS boost over long range. As you get food in your food strip back, make sure you cook and drop the food to save space. Additionally, drop resources you are not able to use at that time. Similarly to the tip before, drop your tools as you use them. This goes for the axe, pickaxe, pestle and mortar, and the harpoon. To make any T1 weapon, it is going to cost you 20 crystals and a weapon frame. And to make a T2 weapon, it is going to cost you an additional 60 crystals, so just memorize that it is 80 crystals total to make a tier 2 weapon. And to add on to this, try to memorize that armor is 120 crystals total to make, or 40 per piece of armor. Make sure you input the amount of resources you need total, like shown, using the Gauntlet plugin from before, because this makes it way easier to memorize these things. To get your first weapon frame from a run, I suggest killing a scorpion because it's weak to crush. Your second best option is killing small creatures, which is where I actually get the majority of my frames because scorpions are a little bit rare to find, but do not kill unicorns or wolves because they take a really long time to kill. That is, unless you absolutely need to. Never click into one of the outer 3 rooms from the middle of a doorway. Doing this can actually prevent you from taking a lot of unnecessary damage from demi-bosses. And as seen here on the map, these are the only rooms you really have to worry about doing this for. Kill every single demi-boss that you find, unless you're close to other spawns. Obviously, it is best if you could just find a dark beast and a dragon to kill, but if you end up finding 2 bears and you kill the second bear, you'll actually get one of the other drops. This means that if you kill any 3 combination of the demi-bosses, you're going to get all 3 of the drops. You can kill 3 dragons and you'll still get a bowstring and a crystal spike. Again though, if you're close to other demi-boss spawns, it's worth checking instead of relying on RNG sometimes. Try your very best to make T2 or at the very least a T1 staff and 1 to 3 vials on your first back. If you still have extra crystals after this and you have the resources to make armor, go ahead and do this as well. Otherwise, just drop whatever you have in your inventory if you don't need it for the time being. With the stats, plugins, and tips covered, the only thing left to do now is show you guys a few runs to set an example. So as you can see in this first clip, I ran a full C shape around my spawn. In running the C shape, I also checked the 3 top rooms to see if I had any demi-bosses nearby. For every single gauntlet run, you are going to want to follow this exact route. Now this map is not 100% accurate to where you were going to spawn, but it has the exact same idea. Off your spawn, just run a C shape around spawn, collect all the resources you can, check the 3 top rooms for a demi-boss, and then return back to spawn. And just like that, we have 2 minutes remaining to do all of our prep. We have all the resources we need to make a full set of tier 1 armor and 2 tier 3 weapons. We have 2 full 4-dose potions and 24 fish. And now all we have to do is throw it all together and get ready to fight Hunleff. And there we go, just like that, we've taken out Hunleff, and we still have a bunch of extra food and prayer potions just in case it all went wrong. Now that you guys have seen a full run, let's go ahead and discuss some further tips for Hunleff specifically. As you enter the room with Hunleff, always have Protect from range on. Hunleff will always start with an attack cycle of range, and then he'll switch into magic after 4 attacks. The cycle will continue for the entirety of the kill, and you'll know when Hunleff switches from one attack style to the next by a little animation, which can be seen right now. In between these attacks, Hunleff will throw out 2 different types of specials. One of these is a purple missile that disables your current prayers. When this happens, do not panic, just make sure you know what attack cycle Hunleff is on and put that prayer back on. The only time this can really be confusing is if Hunleff uses his 4th magic attack to do this and switches to range right after, in which case you would have to switch to Protect from range, which you'll have to look for the visual cue in order to do so. Hunleff's second type of special attack is its tornadoes. You'll know when tornadoes are coming when Hunleff does this animation. As Hunleff's HP goes down, it'll go from having 2 tornadoes to 3 to 4. Avoid the tornadoes at all costs because if they stack up as a 4 stack, they could literally one-hit you. And lastly, a passive attack that Hunleff does is change the tiles underneath you to being hot. Just avoid these at all costs because they do about 20 damage each hit and they can really kill you pretty quick. For these special attacks and the Hunleff fight in general, I recommend following these tips. Hunleff's max hit with tier 1 armor is 13, so always stay above that amount of HP and only eat when you absolutely have to. I mainly eat when running from tornadoes or when the hot tiles offset my positioning and I can't attack while running. During the Hunleff fight, try to stick to running straight and avoid diagonals. Make sure to attack while running from tornadoes, but only when you absolutely can. Avoid getting stuck in any of the four corners, and avoid having Hunleff in the center of the room if possible. However, after a little bit of practice, this can be ignored because you'll know how to avoid Hunleff in all of his attacks. My sixth and final tip for you guys is to stand 3 tiles away from the doorways. These 8 tiles are the best places to sit to avoid the majority of the hot tiles and give you a lot of reaction time for tornadoes. It is also just a really good position to sit in to pretty much maneuver yourself anywhere in the arena. And those are pretty much all the tips and tricks that I have for Hunleff and the Gauntlet in general. The only thing I'd like to show you guys now is another full run without any interruption, and then following this I will show the 5-to-1 method. So stay tuned! Alright, and now it's 5-to-1 time. I will only be showing a Hunleff kill for this section, so you guys don't have to see an entire prep, but first we must go over how the method actually works. So the 5-to-1 method allows you to use one specific type of weapon to output all your damage. However, you still need to have a bow and a trident in your possession. You simply have to attack Hunleff 5 times using the weapon of your choice and then switch to another to change Hunleff's protective prayers. Then you switch back to your original weapon and repeat the cycle. In most cases, you would want to use the trident because you can still achieve the max hit with this weapon at any magic level, so a person with 50 magic can still hit the max hit of 39 as if they were level 99 magic. However, you still will not have the same mage accuracy. What's really nice about this method is it's a lot quicker to prep for, as you only need to get one tier 3 weapon, so depending on how hard the gauntlet is truly treating you, you can actually pair this with T2 armor. This makes the Corrupted Gauntlet much easier to do at much lower combats, and can actually even be done on pure accounts. This method does require an extreme amount of practice though, and it might be a while before you can even get your first kill. So if you plan on using the 5-to-1 method, I would really recommend that T2 prep, and you should probably watch another guide on that because I will not be providing the information on that because that would really take a long time. But once you practice this method enough, you could probably even drop from T2 armor to T1, and you can just run that if you'd like. Now I'll show you guys an actual kill using this method. As you can see during this kill, I did actually use the halberd because I got an additional weapon frame. You do not need this, and to satisfy the melee part of this 5-to-1 method, all you need to use is your fist, or you can use the scepter if you'd like. But if you do get an extra weapon frame, the halberd is really nice because it has that one extra tile range. And there we go, a full 5-to-1 method kill, done pretty well, and we still had plenty of food and potions once again. I would also like to note that the 5-to-1 method is actually good at high levels as well if you do not have piety and or rigor. I personally have 92 range and I don't have rigor, and as you can see during that kill I had a much greater damage output than my other 2 kills shown before. This is why the 5-to-1 method is used by many speedrunners in the gauntlet, and honestly why it's such a good skill if you can learn it. It's also just a really good backup if you're having a really bad run and you can't find demi-bosses, which I've had to do multiple times. But it is not necessary to learn as a beginner, so therefore do not learn this unless you absolutely need to or want to. And that is going to conclude this guide. Again, I'll be linking a guide to a Teach You Prep in the description below if you absolutely need it. I will also be posting another video following this of 3 full unedited runs plus the 5-to-1 kill that I just did in this video. This is for those of you that visually need to see more runs for practice or are just visual learners in general. I would also like to give a special thank you to everyone for 250 subs, let alone the 440 that we have right now. It is unbelievable the amount of subs that we've got these past few months. In just 6 months, we've quadrupled the channel's sub count. The support I'm getting from my Ironman Completionist series is beyond what I could have asked for, and the guide that I made for the fight caves has blown up beyond it's just beyond comprehension. As the video currently stands, it has 40,189 views with 785 likes, which is more than I could have ever asked for. I'm just happy knowing that my guides are actually being used and that you guys are actually able to gain something from it. Again, thank you guys very much. This means more to me than you can ever know, and I hope I can provide more content for you guys in the near future that you enjoy. Anyways, for those of you that have made it this far, thank you very much for watching and I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to look out for my future guides and videos and check out my Ironman Completionist series, which will be linked in the description below. Make sure to check me out on Twitch and join my Discord, both of which will also be linked in the description. And most importantly, I hope all of you guys have a wonderful day. I wish you the best of luck in your gauntlet attempts, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.